Good morning. Hey, today we're talking about the importance of water storage, right? You see? Right, because out here in the boondocks, right? Or actually anywhere. I mean, even in the city, right? Water storage is kind of important. Just in case you have an emergency situation, right? Where the water goes out in your your house, your apartment, right? Your storage bin. Any place, where, you spend, your time, and it's kind of important to have water, you know what I'm saying, wash the dishes, right, water the animals, just in case, like I said, the water goes out. I mean, you got cats, you got dogs, you got chickens, you got cows, right, you got llamas. The people over there got, Great Pyrenees dogs and a couple horses, right, it's rather important, right, to have, some extra water laying around just in case something bad goes happen. You know what I'm saying? Shit goes sour, like, like us. The well went bad. Right? And we don't have any running water right now. I mean, well, me and Therese, we don't have any running water right now anyway, so. Right? Okay. That's the rinsing bucket. Now, the washing bucket. Yeah, I got a lot of dishes. Because we ain't had water, for a few days, a week, somewhere along the line. All of our dishes built up. Right? And we still have a little bit of water. I mean, we got, 3 of these jugs. Right, we got another gallon jug, right, and we can scrounge up a few other jugs if we need to, right, just for our personal use, just in case. Plus, every time we go to the store, we go to town, Tonopah, or Austin, or anywhere else, Fallon, right, anywhere else, and we're going to the store, into Hadley, the general store is usually where we get it, right. Therese usually buys a couple of the 24 packs. A bottle of water, for our personal drinking use, it's whatever, instant coffee, soup, right, cooking with, whatever we need to, right here in the little house, all right. Now, we don't save the little plastic bottles, out here. I mean, it's not really worth anything to try to recycle, aluminum cans, plastic bottles, or any of that stuff out here in the boondocks. I mean, yeah, we can save them, like this whole bin right here next to me. It's probably about, a third full of just, smashed cans. Yeah, sure, you can save them. But we got to go all the way to Cali, all the way to Bishop, right, cash them in. And then you can only cash in X amount, right? And then whatever's left over from X amount, they give back to you. I guess to start your next pile with. I don't know, right? But, yeah. See, so it's, basically not, feasibly, economically feasible, right, to try to, scrap stuff. I mean, junk laying everywhere. Anyway, treasure pile. Right, so, right, that brings me to, right, there is no approved container for water. There isn't. You can't go to Walmart and buy an official water container. You can buy a blue jug with a lid on it, maybe a little rubber seal, right, 2, 3 gallons, 5 gallons, whatever. But for the most part, there isn't an approved container. Right? So just about any kind of container will work. You just have to be conscious of what it's made out of, right? Because a lot of there a lot of companies now that make plastic products are trying to steer away from the BPA's and all that stuff, because eventually, say a bottle with BPA that you use it for storage, eventually the inside of the bottle is going to start breaking down. The BPA is going to leach into the water. Your kids are drinking bad shit. So if you're going to use plastic, consumer good jugs, right? You're saying you want to be mindful that you can only keep them for, a limited amount of time. 2 weeks, maybe a month. You want to pitch it. You don't even want to bother trying to clean it out. You just want to throw it away, right? Recycle it. I mean, there's enough of this stuff on the planet already to choke us all 4 or 5 times. I mean, they pull hundreds of, thousands of tons of it out of the ocean every year. Ask all them college kids to go out there to Hawaii and scrape it all up. Man, there's 2 or 3 companies, they're using this stuff that they get out of the ocean and recycling and making new plastic bottles with it. So, you can store water just about anything. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're mindful of how, what type of, container it is, and you keep track of the amount of time that you're storing the water. You know what I'm saying? You want to actually, store water. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe the maximum amount of time you can store water is like maybe a year. After a year, you know what I'm saying, you might want to think about, pouring it out and, restocking, cleaning the container out, restocking it, because depending on the container, like if you're using, like the big industrial metal drums, like some people do, over a period of time, you know what I'm saying, it's going to rust the inside of the container, and you're going to end up with rust in the water. Once again, the kids drink bad stuff. All right? If you're using those big white or blue industrial barrels, the plastic ones, those are good for storage of water and or, grain feed, flour, any kind of dry goods or stuff that you have in bulk, right? And water, you know what I'm saying, for an indefinite period of time, as long as the container is sealed and it's airtight. Now there's, the cistern. The cistern is a big giant tank. Oh, excuse me. The cistern is a big giant tank that's either buried in the ground, right, and water fed, right, or it's built into part of the house. It's water fed once again from the roof, right, or it's above ground and it's just a big tank, right. Now out here, in the boonies of the farms and stuff, but out there at the alfalfa fields and stuff, right, a lot of the farmers use the big square cage containers. They're made out of the big white plastic. There's two of them sitting right over there about 20 yards from me, right? And they use that for water storage because they take those out into the desert, out into the fields and shit, right? And they set them up for the cows, so the cows can drink them. Because right now, this time of year, a lot of the ranchers and stuff have their cows out in their alfalfa fields, and they're just letting them run wild because the alfalfa's growing like mad, and hay trucks are running up and down the highway all day long with tons of hay, right? So, right. Now, right, storage capacity and why it's important. Well, right, storage capacity could be, anywhere from however much you use in a day, and I think the average human being uses like 7 gallons of water, for personal use a day, right? So for every person in your family, right, you want to store at least a minimum of 10 gallons of water per day for the amount of, storage capacity you got. You know what I'm saying? Like me and Therese, right? We store a little bit of water for emergency uses, like late at night, you know what I'm saying, or doing something, washing your hands or whatever, you know what I'm saying, maybe making a soup, right? Right? But for the most part, during the day when the well is working and the water's on, right? You know what I'm saying, we can go in the house and do whatever we want, take a shower, we can wash the clothes, all that shit. Right? So even for us, you know what I'm saying, the amount of water that we have to store is equal to at least, you know what I'm saying, what we would use in a day. Right? We don't always use it. I'm going to use it all right now, washing the dishes, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But we still have a case and a half of, bottled water sitting in the cooler right there. Right? Okay, so base your capacity on the amount of people that are in your house. That's pretty simple formula right there. Right? You know what I'm saying? There are 1 or 2 of these per person, you know what I'm saying, back in the back closet or on the back porch or something, you know what I'm saying, over a 30-day period, you're going to use that water if you're going to. Right? Okay, so now the things that you need to, watch out for when you're storing water, right, is, contamination, like I said, the BPA's in the jugs, you know what I'm saying, any kind of contamination in the bottle, you want to make sure the bottle's clean, You take some, right, Dawn Ultra Dish Soap, the blue. Dawn or any of its, derivatives, right? As long as it's a Procter & Gamble product, it doesn't matter what the brand, what the name on the label is. As long as it's a P&G product, right, and it's blue dish soap, right, this is the best shit you're ever going to find for taking grease, oil, dirt, contamination, funk, scuds, poop, pee, you name it. Right, this stuff will break it down and take it off. Right? Why do you think all of those the eco-terrorist groups and everybody else, when the oil tanker cracks open and it contaminates the whole ocean side, why do you think they use it on the little baby birdies and shit? To wash the oil and stuff off of them. This stuff works, no matter what. Even in cold water. Right? So, I'm saying you want to squirt a little bit in your jug, squish it around with some water, make sure it's clean, rinse it out good. It is biodegradable. but you know, you slurp in too much of it, you still get the poops. Right? You also want to look out for contaminants that are in the water. Right? And saying, you know, you don't got to, you know, be some, you know, super, you know, chemical scientist dude, but you could get your pool tester out. If you got a pool, or, you know, some people have one laying around in the kitchen drawer. You can test the water in the container after it's been sitting for an hour. Make sure there are no foreign contaminants or chemicals in the water. Right? Another thing is when you're using a cap and you're using jugs repeatedly, you want to make sure you clean the cap out too, ding-a-lings, because a lot of times a lot of gunk builds up on the inside inner lip of the seal of the cap. Right, and contaminates your water. Alright, okay. Now, other things you want to look out for, you know what I'm saying, are like bugs and critters, bacterias, you know what I'm saying, that are in and around the source of where you get your water, like the frost freeze, because they sit outside all the time, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, weird shit happens. Bird might accidentally poop on it or something, and it just sits there for, you know, days and days and days, and hard, you know what I'm saying, and it gets around the rim of the faucet, of the spigot, right, and once again, more contamination in your water jug. Right, so, where does that leave us, Brian? That leaves me doing the dishes out here on this makeshift table that I made. Right? With, you know, our water. Right? So, the next time you think about it, I know people like, I know you prep and think about it. I know other people think about it. I know, you know, right, Rob, you know, Rhonda thinks about it. I know that Marie thinks about it. I know that, you know, some of you other guys, Jared D, he lives out in the bushes. I know that he thinks about it. I'm seeing this is something that you need to, you know, teach your children and, you know, other people around you, right? Because look, we don't know what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years. We don't know, right? We went from bad to worse at the top. Right? So, and you guys have already, everybody's already seen it, everybody's already talked about it, everybody's already made videos about it. You know what I'm saying? How, you know, how everything has changed. Nothing's changed out here for us. It's still the same. Right? The same. What's that? Same old bullshit. Right? I'm saying, right? So, think about what you're doing, people. Right? This is me, Brian. Wash the dishes this morning. Thank you.